Here's the cold, hard truth. There hasn't been a AAA driving game since the Crew one that doesn't have any missing features from the previous game at launch, checking certain boxes in order to fit a modern audience, and doesn't have a how do you do fellow kids approach and always playing it safe. After the Crew, Need for Speed brings back the formula, but every single time seem to be doing it wrong. There always has to be a catch. Need for Speed 2015 was always online. When it's not even an MMO, no PvP at launch, no manual transmission and wheel support at launch, and broken physics. Payback came with PvP, but no online free roam at launch, no wheel support again at launch, no free roam, cops, speed cards, vanity items put behind loot boxes, off-roading, and the game was way less stylized than the previous. The Crew 2 came, but not only did it not have PvP at launch, but also removed a lot of stuff that made the Crew 1 special, which I'm going to get into later on. Need for Speed Heat came, but no PvP at all, no wheel support, again at launch, drifting physics were downgraded, no drag racing, removed side bets, and added character customization. You don't need it just because every other game does it. Just go back to the second-person point of view again. Sure, have it online, but not in single player. Need for Speed Unbound had no cops in online free roam, cringy dialogue, FOMO content, the childish and cringe vanity items. Seriously, we can't have spinners, but we can have neon rims? What's that all about? Single-player progression not carried over to multiplayer, and multiplayer content not brought to single-player. Motorfest ditched the huge open-world map for a map that TDU already had, and not even as big, and doubled down on the Forza Horizon Festival approach. Do I even need to explain TDU Solar Crown? Enjoy this game more than Motorfest, by the way. Forza Horizons 3, 4, and 5 don't have most of these problems, except the fact that they have barely innovated over the previous game. I actually think that the series has gotten better over time because of the content updates, and that Horizon 5 is a hidden gem, but that's another video for a different day. So without further ado, let me explain how the Crew sped away from greatness. This is going to be quite a long one, so strap yourselves in. It's time to go for a ride.
Now, I'm not a graphics expert, but I personally think that the Crew one looks the best overall. It looks the most natural looking of the three. The Crew 2, however, is the ugliest looking game that I've ever seen. The roads look like Play-Doh, and it just looks way too cartoonish. The game looked much better at E3, and even at launch before they updated the lighting in December of 2018. The nights are insanely bright too. In Motorfest, it looks better, but can look overexposed at times, and still looks somewhat cartoonish. I'm not gonna talk about this for too long because it's the most boring part of the video, and I don't really care for it that much, and I think that this is mostly a personal preference thing, but I personally think that the Crew 1's handling is the best overall. However, the physics are an absolute joke. The vehicle corrects itself in the air, and it's very unappealing to watch. The Crew 2's isn't that much better because the gravity has been cranked up to Jupiter levels. And Motorfest is fine. The Crew 2's handling, at least to me, especially with the fast cars, the cars feel like go-karts with insane grip. It's ridiculous. And the off-roading feels more like I'm driving on clay, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's because of the graphics or that my controller doesn't vibrate as much, but it just feels worse to me. Whereas the Crew 1, the off-roading feels much better. Motorfest is fine, but it's more of the camera I have an issue with. The anchor point at which the car turns relative to the camera seems to be centered, so the front and rear end seem to move at the same speed. The bikes in the Crew 1 are terrible, and this is one of the few major problems I have with this game. They understeer like crazy. You can't turn them to the point where your knees barely touch the ground. The Crew 2, however, the bike handling is the best handling I've experienced. They lean a lot more. The character animations are more fluid. Your clothes will move with the wind. It's amazing. The boats and planes are fun to use as well.
Crew 1's map was a recreation of the entire United States, and it was huge. It was about 1,900 square miles, or 4,900 square kilometers. How big is that? It's slightly smaller than the U.S. state of Delaware. That's pretty impressive, especially for a map that isn't randomly generated, right? It was split into the 5 iconic regions: the Midwest, the East Coast, the South, the Mountain States, and the West Coast, each feeling distinct, especially before the Wild Run update. The Crew 2 took the map and opened it up some more, with waterways and stuff for the boats, which is fine, but they ended up removing a lot of interesting locations, like the Chicago airport, or the military base with nothing there at all, which I don't understand. Motorfest has ditched the map completely for a map that is not even as big as TDU2's Hawaii, for a more detailed map, which you'll barely notice because you're too busy racing around it 24/7.
The Crew 1's world was absolutely phenomenal. The best there has been in any open-world driving game, and that's a fact. There were many different types of pedestrians walking around, depending on the area of the map that you were in. Like, if you were in the South, you would see people walking around with cowboy hats. If you were in the Midwest, you would come across a village filled with Amish people. The pedestrians weren't just walking around either. They were also doing certain things, like having conversations with other people, or stretching. And if you try to hit them, they would talk shit.
Jeez! Do you even know who I am? Whoa! Jeez! Better hope I don't see you again!
Oh my God! What the hell do you think you are? Myself! Hey! Did you not see me there?
Oh, crap! I got your life, mother of a...
Hey, I'm walking here,
Is
you
this your first
douche!
time driving?
What the hell? Watch where you're going, asshole!
Hey, man! What the hell, man? You blind?
Watch it! Where's a cop when you need one? What the? You should be in jail!
Knew I should have just stayed at home.
There were many different types of planes flying in the air. You would have jets that would split and fly off in different directions. And in the missions too, a lot of stuff was going on in the background. Even though it's scripted, it just really adds to the feeling of a living, breathing world. which, by the way, feels larger than the Crew 2 because there's no planes. Pre-Wild Run, you had ambulances and fire trucks blaring their sirens. I have no idea why that was removed, but they were a thing. The different regions on the map felt different from each other, especially pre-Wild Run. Now it's all the same. You had many different types of animals too, depending on the area that you were in, of course. It was pretty much GTA 5 as a driving game. It also had Easter eggs, where you would see signs that would say, "I kissed a girl and I liked it, then went to hell," or "Don't text while driving," and stop reading this sign. You would see a big whale, Bigfoot, or even a unicorn. There was even one where you would see a dead body poking from outside a bush with a newspaper hanging from a tree. Yeah, Motorfest the world is just completely dead. No people walking around, no animals, barely any traffic. It's just sad, man. Oh boy, where do I begin? Let's talk about the campaign. So what did you do in the Crew 1? Well, you were driving around in this big open-world sandbox playground, meeting up with people, forming crews, and do many different activities together. Yeah, this is what makes an RPG an RPG, which the Crew 1 definitely was. You choose your own path with how you want to play. It is a sandbox MMORPG with many different activities and ways to earn money. It's like GTA Online, where there really is no main objective. Instead, you have many different activities to earn money and buy all of the best stuff. There is a reason why the Crew went from how it was at launch to an extreme freestyle, Nitro Circus type expansion, which is nothing like Forza Horizon, by the way. So I don't get this comparison at all. To a Cops and Robbers type expansion. People will say it's not an MMO because there's only 8 people. Just because it only had 8 people doesn't mean it wasn't an MMO. The vast majority of the content in the game was multiplayer-based, where you were competing with other online players by doing certain activities, such as joining a faction and earning reputation for it, competing in the summit, or busting other players. The open world freedom, doing many different types of activities, whether that was doing bike stunt events, takedown missions, map exploring, monster truck stunts, chasing and busting criminals stealing cargo, alone or together with your friends, really defined the Crew. And it was called the Crew for a reason. It wasn't really a racing game. It was a driving game. It was truly something special. This genre is so underrated. People think that you have to be a car guy to like these types of games, which isn't true in the slightest. You play Skate, despite having no interest in skating. You play Mortal Kombat, despite having no interest in fighting. You play Call of Duty, despite having no interest in guns or fighting in the military. So why do you have this bias towards driving games? It having a car on the cover of the game shouldn't be a reason to dismiss it. This genre got me into cars, not the other way around. Games like GTA Online added yachts and a casino, which many people were amazed by, even though Test Drive Unlimited 2 did the exact same thing back in 2011, but nobody cared, because it was just a car game. Games like Test Drive Unlimited 2, Driver San Francisco, and The Crew 1 really revolutionized this genre and showed that you can do a lot more with a driving game.
A couple years since the release of The Crew, sort of give us a quick little reminder about what this game is all about.
Well, we released the game like 18 months ago, and indeed lots has happened since we released it. At first, the crew, it was all about the USA, all the experience of driving on road, off-road, and to make your way through all of this insane variety of gameplays you could have. But for us, it was just the beginning. And listening to the player, actually working with the players, we did lots and lots of new features. Every month, tournaments, new features, and last year it was like a big update, which was the Wild Run expansion, which brought monster trucks and dragsters and a new tournament we call the Summit. And now, for the second year, we wanted to come with something really fresh, different, that would even further build upon the roots of the crew. And now it's, bringing cops. Now you can play the police. The core of the experience is that at any time you're driving into the world, okay, I want to be the cop, I want to patrol. So you select your police car, and actually you will build your collection of police cars, and with sports cars, supercars, or even monster trucks. Police cars in order to patrol the streets, and you pick up your place. You want to patrol the streets of New York, or down the Grand Canyon, or down in Florida, or whatever. And when you patrol, you're a cop. You patrol and you look for trespassers. And actually the whole game is your place for you to look out for felons. And felons, it will be other players. All over the world, we hid crates. And those crates, that will change every day, actually players have to look out for them, and once you find them, you will have to convoy them to specific hidden warehouses. And once some player tries to grab one of the crates, he becomes a felon.
I see.
And when he becomes a felon, then the chase starts.
The Crew 1 wasn't just a simple cargo vroom vroom game. It had a story, which is undoubtedly one of the main aspects of this game. It's about your brother getting murked by a dangerous thug, and another framed you for doing it. Your job is to avenge him by going undercover, infiltrating the nefarious 510 street racing gang, doing various tasks in order to take them both down. It involves street racing, which I'm going to get into, takedown missions, follow missions, checkpoint missions, destroying crates, delivery missions, and escaping the cops. The story was pretty similar to Need for Speed Undercover in some aspects. You play as a guy named Alex Taylor, who is voiced by the legendary Troy Baker.
Got two super cool words for you, buddy.
Langer out!
People say that the story was bad, without really explaining how it's bad. Yeah, it's a revenge story, it's cliché, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. It had that gritty, run-down, V8 muscle vibe to it, if that makes sense. I recently seen a YouTube short that was an AI Cars movie, and seeing that reminded me of this game. I'm tired of people saying that a racing and driving game don't need a story, which is technically true. The best ones ever made don't have stories. But they say that as if they are better without them, which is so ridiculous. Mortal Kombat has a story, and it's a fighting game. So why can't driving games? You are limiting art and creativity. It's just so ludicrous. Unlike the driving games of today, the characters actually acted more like people, with little to no cringy dialogue, and some funny voice lines.
I could kill you! I could kill everyone you know! I could kill everyone you don't know in the off chance that you might someday know them!
The Crew 2 story campaign involves you becoming an influencer by gaining followers, doing a variety of different types of motorsport, which honestly sounds good on paper. But the execution of it was terrible. If you're going to have this follower thing, at least let me interact with my fans or something.
I want legendary badass.
People will say, it's a racing game, it doesn't need good dialogue. Fuck off. It's a video game, so it needs to have good dialogue. The Crew Motorfest doesn't even have a story or a campaign. It just throws you in, and you just do playlists until you get money and buy cars. The playlists I will get into later.
Up to speed. You are our special guests, athletes, festival goers, car lovers, all gathered here in majestic Hawaii. These are the festival grounds, but we've got the whole island set up for you. We've created a place where you can drive anything, from the iconic to the super customized. It's a Motorfest branded, lovingly crafted car culture celebration.
You see, this is the problem with this game and The Crew 2. It's just car go vroom vroom. Just a generic racing game. It's not appealing to people who aren't into cars. Whereas with The Crew 1, it didn't really focus on car culture. It was designed to be a GTA Online type game, where you were only limited to driving vehicles. The vehicles, or the racing, didn't really have that much of a significance. There was no engine swaps, no in-depth tuning, or anything like that. What mattered more was the gameplay elements. It even was said at the E3 conference that it was meant to redefine what driving games meant. The main point of the game wasn't racing. It was collaborating and competing with other players, doing a wide variety of different activities. When The Crew 1 was announced, many people were hyped for the game despite having no interest in racing games or cars. Forza Horizon seems to be an exception to this because it has a lot of cars and it's easy to pick up and play, and the graphics are appealing to the casual audience. That's what sells.
You see those mountains in the distance? You can drive to them and climb them. The whole world is a playground for you and your friends. Well, now jump to Sly, who's driving around
we
the
could
desert
spend
roads
so
and
much
trails
time in this
outside
game.
Las Vegas.
Keep an eye. They're still going. They're going to unite.
The street racing events in The Crew 1 were awesome, as well as every other spec event. All the spec events, street, dirt, perf, raid, and circuit events, have the same event types as I mentioned before, with a few exceptions. Regular racing, takedown missions, follow missions, A to B missions, delivery missions, checkpoint missions, destroying crates, or escaping the cops.
Be careful with her. You put a dent in the car, I'll put a dent in you.
The Crew 2 street racing events are pretty basic. There was nothing else to the racing. Barely any variety. No lap knockout races, no speed trap races, no toge, or anything like that. There could have even been NFS Hot Pursuit style races with AI cops, but no. And people will make excuses by saying, cops don't fit the theme of the game. Even though The Crew 1 had monster trucks and cops. Just fuck off. Anyways, the street racing, it's either circuit or sprint races. With one of the races, you end up taking a guy to the hospital after crashing, which I grinded over and over again. In a game where the racing is supposed to be the main aspect, you should probably expect more variety of different events. The same goes with Motorfest, but with a better atmosphere. The new update has these races, which look cool, but because of how the game is structured, you'll finish the playlist and never touch it again. Drag racing. The drag racing in The Crew was awesome. You warm your tires up and get them in the green zone. When the light turns green, you launch as quick as you can and get perfect shifts and make it towards the finish line. If you're asking, why is there no owl? You're not racing against owl because you're competing with other players in the summit ranking, not owl. And of course, let's not forget the good old parachute. In The Crew 2, the drag racing is less ground and more silly. At least some of the events are, because they put jumps in them. which I have no idea why. There should have been Al in these races, however, because these events aren't exclusive to the summit anymore. The summit I will get into later on. They're just regular events. And yes, I know, the parachute is gone. In Motorfest, it's all the same thing. The drift mode in the Crew 1 was pretty simple. You just do drifts while maintaining that multiplier. If you hit something, it doesn't matter. As long as you keep drifting, the multiplier doesn't go away. In the Crew 2, it's more legalized. There's barriers all over the place. This time, from what I remember, if you hit a wall, you will lose your multiplier. Which I don't mind, because they're also no longer tied exclusively to the summit anymore. In Motorfest, the same thing applies. But the courses are, of course, less grounded and more unrealistic. I had to get footage from someone else because I didn't have a drift car, even though I transferred all of my vehicles from the Crew 2. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't have the correct drift car. Sigh. This is total bullshit. Like just why? Why do I need to buy a specific drift car? And when I do buy it, the game doesn't even let me use it. It just loans me one anyway to use. It makes no goddamn sense. Fuck this game, man. It's just rallycross racing. Nothing to shake up the experience. The bikes, the dirt spec bikes specifically, have their own thing now, which is motocross, which makes sense, but there's no way to race dirt bikes with cars anymore, like you could in the first game. That's gone in Motorfest, with the Crew 1. It definitely shook things up by putting you against a road car, and you had to beat him by taking off-roading shortcuts. It was so fun. In the Crew Motorfest, it even gets worse, because I'm not kidding you, there's only 2 rally events, 2, in the entire game. And get this, one of them is just a scenic tour, and the other one is just a time attack. Motocross? Only 1, and it's nothing like the Crew 2. What an absolute joke. The off-road racing. In the Crew 2. The same thing applies. How about Motorfest? There's actually about 14 events in, where it's all pretty much the same thing, for the most part. They'll add more races in the future. It's been 2 fucking years since the game released, and they haven't done jack shit with them. The touring car racing, the Crew 2. Again, the same thing applies, which is all the same and basic. Which is leading me to my next point, which I'm just going to let this guy explain it.
The races are so samey, it's just not funny. It really isn't funny. Honestly, when you've done one car race, you've done them all. When you've done one boat race, you've done them all. When you've done a drag race, you've done them all. When you've done an aerobatics thing, you've done them all, because it's all just the same, regurgitated over and over. I can't tell you how many races I've done. They've all been the same. A lot of them are just bad. A lot of them will be just multiple route races where it's not really a case of skill, it's a case of whether or not you just manage to get lucky and go down this street. You got to learn the circuits, but fortunately the game encourages you to learn the circuits because it is one huge fucking grind. You see, the problem that this game has, well, it's not a problem, it's a design. It's an absolute design. What they've done is they've made it so that you just can't earn enough money. You just can't earn enough money to just die from race to race to race to race, because you're going to come across a race where it says, oh, you don't have the right vehicle for this race. Go and buy one. All right, okay, how much are they? A few $100,000. Oh, but I've only got a few $100,000. Yeah, well, just spend it then. Okay, I've spent me money and I've bought this car. Right now I can do this particular race. Oh, you want to do the drag race now? Oh, you have to buy a drag race car. Did you not know that? Oh, and you've got no money left. Well, if you just go and redo them other races that you've been doing, just redo them all, and you'll get money again. Oh, but they were boring the first time. Well, they'll be even more boring the second time. Just do that, while the annoying voice is going in the background, So you have to go and grind to get your money, to get your car. Now, it isn't hard. You can do it. The races only last 5 or 6 minutes each, but it's boring. Unless you get your credit card out, guys.
Motorfest? You just grind races over and over and over again to get money? And it's not even funny! Whereas in the Crew 1, I could do police chases as a cop to get money, and it would be a new experience every single time. And I keep mentioning the Crew 1 because it's such a brilliant game. When I complain about the Crew 2 and Motorfest, it's not things here and there that I have issues with in the games. It's the whole concept of the games themselves that I have an issue with, which the fact that the games are more of a linear, solo racing experience. I see some people say the Crew 1 and 2 have both strengths and weaknesses. The Crew 1 is worse in some ways, and the Crew 2 is worse in some ways.
Anyone hear anything about a deal?
I heard you. Kind of a lot of us did.
Shut up, you. You didn't hear nothing.
Don't try and skip out on it, Wade. All these folks heard you agree to it. Now, are you gonna do the honorable thing?
The monster truck events in the Crew 1 were again just awesome. The gameplay will just explain it. In the Crew 2, it's pretty much the same, except now there are monster truck races and those other stunt events, which are fine. The monster truck arenas moved in different spots, which doesn't bother me, but what does is that they changed them to a wooden design. Why? It just looks more boring to me, and the monster trucks themselves feel super light compared to the first game. The summit in the Crew 1 was absolutely phenomenal. It was an actual place that you would drive to on the map that changed location every month or week. I can't remember. One of the locations was the meteor crater. Okay, it doesn't look as exciting as it did in the trailer, but it was still pretty cool. You wanted to enter in the summit? Well, you couldn't. You needed to prove yourself by doing certain things in order to get an access pass. What things? Well, by doing either the free drive challenges or the free drive stunts. The free drive challenges were the races that you would create with the route creator. And it was great, at least at the time, because you could only place 10 checkpoints, but I would say they kinda still do hold up today. You know why? Because you could switch vehicles during the race, which was pretty cool. You could make Top Gear style challenges and stuff with it. And believe it or not, the races weren't the only thing you could make. They later added the ability for you to create your own speed trap events as well. How cool is that? You pick a start location, and you can place up to around 5 speed trap markers around the area you place the starting location at. When you're done, you validate it, and you pick and choose whatever vehicle you want. When the event starts, you drive through the speed trap markers as fast as you can. When either mode is done, it adds to your ranking in the summit. You could only make 10 events at a time, though. That's not all. You could share your events with a code that it would put out, and you could use other people's codes to try out their races as well. Pretty cool. Now, the free drive stunts mode was basically the Burnout Paradise free burn challenges that you did online. It gives you and your crew certain objectives, like do a wheelie for a specific amount of time, or go up for this distance or near miss traffic. They would get harder and harder the longer you do them. And if you quit or failed one, meaning that you didn't complete the objective within the time limit, it wouldn't start over, because the points that you made overall will contribute to your summit ranking. It resets when a new summit takes place. And if you earned enough medals throughout all the summits, you would be qualified to enter the summit finale, which, now I remember, was the summit that would grant you that exclusive vehicle. So, once you've done enough free drive challenges or free drive stunts, you'll get an access pass to get into the summit. The summit is a competition that features a variety of events that you compete in as best as possible to get in the best spots on the leaderboard, which was platinum. The better your ranking, the better chance that you were able to get exclusive rewards. Most of the events, as you would expect, are events that were part of the Wild Run expansion pack, which were the drift events, drag events, the monster truck events, free drive challenges, and stunts. It even had Summit PvP, which was different from the regular PvP, which I'll get more into later. Some events don't show up every summit though, like the speed trap events. Or, I can't believe that this was removed, bike stunt races. Now the bike stunt races were also awesome. You do flips and spins along a designated route to get the most points. I wish you could do tricks on your bike, manually, and that gets you points. But it was still fucking cool. And if you land a perfect stunt, an audience will cheer in the background, which adds more flavor and personality to the experience. It also had time attack races, which would restrict you to a certain vehicle that you needed to buy for that event. But not playing that event didn't really affect your ranking in the summit that much, unless you wanted to be very competitive, like I was. And there were specific skill challenges that you would do as well. Some of the summits would be themed. Like for instance, there would be an American-themed one, of course, an Italian one, a German one, and so on. So a lot of the events would restrict you to a certain type of vehicle. The rewards that you would earn in the summit would depend on your ranking in the summit. If you ranked bronze, there would be a 25% chance that you would win a new exclusive vehicle. If you ranked silver, it would be 50%. Gold would be 75%. You get the idea. And 100%, that new vehicle was guaranteed to be yours. Summit exclusive vehicles included vehicles, such as the 2014 BMW M4, the 2014 BMW R1200 GS Adventure, the 2015 Mazda MX-5 Miata, the 2015 Kawasaki Z1000 ABS, the 2015 Ducati Panigale R, and the 2015 Mercedes AMG GT, which was the finale new Summit vehicle. In a 2017 update, they updated the Summit so you would earn vehicles that were already in the game, which was the beginning of the end for the Summit and the entire game as a whole. What if you missed a Summit vehicle? If you missed a Summit vehicle, it wouldn't be available for another month until it was added in-game to purchase with bucks or with crew credits. So no FOMO. For a short period of time, that is. And that's pretty much the Summit wrapped up. A pretty significant gameplay element to the crew that added insane amounts of replay value and competition to the experience that other games in the genre, such as Forza Horizon, took inspiration from with the festival playlist, and one of the absolute best gameplay modes that I have ever played in a driving game, period. Now, what about the Crew 2? Oh boy, did they butcher such an incredible game mode. Not only was the Summit not in the game at launch, but it was so watered, to the point that I didn't want to play it anymore. In the Crew 2, it's called the Live Summit. The Live Summit, guys, fucking hell. The live thing is a part of the whole stupid Live Extreme thing that sponsors every event, I think. Anyway, the Summit. Where do I begin? Oh yeah, remember when I said that the Summit was an actual place we would go to? Yes. Well, in the Crew 2, there is no Summit, guys, ... It's all on a big computer screen. What a joke, guys. So you go to one of the family HQs, You walk up to this big computer screen and press a button, and you're in. No cool cutscene or anything. It just says, Live Summit. Haha. So you're in the summit, and what do you notice? A lot of the events are locked. Why? In the Crew 1, they give you a loaned vehicle to use if you didn't have it. Except for the time attack events, I think. So, what the fuck? Stefan Bailey, the creative director, liked a tweet of mine back in the day, before the game. Came that said, you don't have to touch other disciplines. You can choose your own path. What a load of shit. Not only that, but there was permanent FOMO content. If you missed a Summit exclusive vehicle, like the Lamborghini Huracan Performante, too bad. You have to wait for months until the Summit comes back again to get the car. At least do that for only special edition cars like the Cayman GT4 Wasp Edition, or whatever the hell that's called. I couldn't even find the damn Summit because the menus are so goddamn confusing, but I finally found it. The Summit is more or less the same than it was in the previous game, but it does give you loaned vehicles for some of the events. As of me making this video, I noticed that the Mercedes-AMG 1 is a reward car for an upcoming Summit, so I'm actually gonna try and get it, which is the first time I've played the Summit properly since when the Crew 2 Hotshots update came out.
Now we move on to the police. The Crew 1 had open-world police. Were they good? Well, yes and no. If you wanted to just avoid them as much as possible, then no, they weren't good. But if you wanted to get into a police chase just for fun, then yes, they are good, especially with the pre-wild run physics, because what I have noticed is that with the default wild run physics, the cops can't do a pit maneuver and spin you out. They try to, but you won't budge. But with EvolJisks, sorry if I butchered your name, physics mod, you're storing the physics to replicate pre-wild run, your car actually spins out when they do a pit maneuver. There are no Rhino units, but there will be oncoming cops' cars that will stop you dead if they hit you. So overall, I'd say they're pretty good if you're trying to get into a chase just for fun, trying to get to heat level 5 and trying to escape afterwards. By the way, the cops don't chase you if you speed past them, only if you hit them or caused a lot of damage around them. One of the things that I love about the game is that fact that you can get into a police chase with a monster truck, driving over police cars and stuff. Just try not to get busted. The police are much better with the crate missions though. Now, the crate missions is a smuggler's run type of thing that involves you taking a package and delivering it to the destination without getting busted. This was awesome. There were new crates every day, and there were 2 different ways of delivering it, on asphalt or off-road. There were bronze, gold, silver, and platinum crates. The higher the metal, the longer the destination was, and the higher chance you could get a fragment for, that's right, a new vehicle. The new vehicle could have been any vehicle, if you bought all of the car DLCs, of course. If you collected 10 fragments, you would get that vehicle. So, you could engage in police chases by hitting a cop and trying to escape them, do crate missions, or be a cop yourself. That's right, you can be a cop yourself and stop online players. It was just as fun. Just look at this intense police chase as we head into Las Vegas. It's just so cool. People will complain and whine about the countdown, and that you can bust the racer while moving at 200 miles per hour, but it makes sense considering the fact that this isn't Need for Speed Rivals where there are barriers everywhere and it was easy to hit the racer. This is a huge open world map with very little barriers, so hitting them would be quite difficult, especially with the netcode situation. And just like the racers, if you bust a player, you will likely get a fragment. but this time it's just police vehicles, which makes sense. You had to get 15 fragments instead of 10. Using the cop cars wasn't just for the crate missions either. If an online player who's a racer causes a lot of damage or hits an owl cop in front of you, that will also let you chase them. It would say, arrest the most wanted. It would have been cooler if a police chase is triggered if they hit me as well, but whatever. That's not it. There was also a new storyline for you as a cop, which involved you, a new character, Clara Washington, taking down and arresting a gang known as the Harvesters. It could have been executed better because the missions are pretty much the same with no differences. Was I. That's all I have to say about it. In a later update, they added a league system for the cops and racers. Racer and Cop 4 being the lowest rank, and Racer and Cop 1 being the highest rank. This adds even more RPG elements to the game. As a racer, if you complete a crate mission with a player cop chasing after you, your racer rank would go up, and their cop rank would go down by a few increments. If you bust an online player who's a racer, your cop rank would go up, and their racer rank would go down. It was much easier to rank up on the cop side though, because you are chasing online players 100% of the time. Whereas if you're a racer, they're like a 25% chance that a player cop would be chasing you. Oh, and by the way, to top it all off, the crate missions took place in the open world, so anyone could join your police chase at any time, which was amazing. And what makes it even more better is that up to 8 people can join. 4 cops, 4 racers. It can be absolute chaos. For example, you driving solo, then you hit a cop on accident, right? Then a police chase starts. During the chase, a racer joins the chase. Then another racer joins the chase. Then other police players join the chase. And it ends up being chaotic. The only problem with this is that the main racer, you, can still successfully escape the AI cops, even if a player police officer is right next to you, which sucks. This can't happen with the crate missions though, which is good. But other than that, it can be chaos. That was the best thing about it, honestly. Oh, and you have weapons that you could use too. By the way, for both the cop and the racer. You and your entire crew can be a police squad, just looking for random chases in the open world. Just amazing. One of your members can act as Rhino unit, if you can get in front of them. In Need for Speed, you have to avoid the Rhino. In the crew, you can be the Rhino unit. I can't express how amazing this is. It's an RPG. So you play the police role. Or 2 of your crew members can be the police and do it that way. And also, you can play through the whole entire game as a cop. You don't even have to touch the story or anything else. And that's what I did. Your entire car collection can be filled with just police cars other than the 2 normal cars that you have to buy, of course. All of this stuff, the crate missions, the police chases, from as a cop, the cop missions, and the league system were all a part of the Calling All Units expansion that was released back in November of 2016. It would go on to inspire Need for Speed to bait crates in Payback. In November of 2020, police chases returned in The Crew 2. But again, there's a catch. Multiple of them, in fact. They didn't bring back open world owl police, but they did bring back the ability for you to play as a cop. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, a Volt Interceptor. They're not actually police cars. Why? I have no idea. The crate missions didn't return for some reason, but the cop missions did in the form of Burnout Paradise Road Rage events. It like every time they bring back something from the first game, and they end up doing it worse. Why? No open world police chases, man, and all of this cop stuff is a part of this thing called Motor Flicks, which I can't wait to tear into this pile of shit later on, where this is all an action scene or some shit. It's ridiculous. No vehicles to unlock either. You just grind the same events over and over and over again to buy new ones. In Motorfest? My God, what even is this crap? What am I looking at? Who actually thinks that this is cool? There's no way I'm paying $30 for this garbage. Are you kidding me? What the fuck have they done to the series, man? It's just gone down the toilet. Apparently, you paid $30 for one playlist with 9 missions in it. Whereas, with Calling All Units, you paid $25 for 12 missions. Like, what the fuck? Since we can fly helicopters now, why can't I be a police helicopter to find online racers that I'm chasing? It's just wasted potential. The cop chases are pretty much the same as they were in The Crew 2. And from what I've heard, they brought back open-world police chases. But even then, it's not enough for me, because I find the whole aesthetic unappealing. What else is there? Oh yeah, The Crew 1 had faction missions, which were events that could take a couple minutes or even a couple of hours to complete. They involved racing around the map, coast-to-coast races, checkpoint missions, delivery missions, or destroying crates. I didn't really find these missions to be that enjoyable. I was just doing them to get money, which was one of the best ways to make money back in the day for me. Pre-Wild Run. It also had community challenges, which were special events that the community would do or something like that. I don't remember how it worked, but I do remember the Ferrari F40 being given to us as a part of it. After you do these events, they contribute to your faction ranking, and the higher your reputation, the more money you earned when you logged in every single day. That was such a cool thing. Oh, and you could also send your friends to do it themselves. Their success rate would depend on how high their level was. The Crew 2 has nothing like that. Instead, it has these live extreme events, which were a mosh-mash of different disciplines into one race. One section of the race, you're in a powerboat. Next, you're in a raid car. Then finally, you're in a hypercar. And it's honestly quite fun. The Motorflix, however, is just wasted potential. People say that The Crew 2 has a lot of content. It doesn't. Motorflix is just mostly comprised of a bunch of races, but with a slight theme. It's just the devs making up different ways of playing the same fucking game. The chase is the cop events that I mentioned earlier. The hunt is the same thing, but with off-roading vehicles. The agency is just jumping and smashing objects along a designated route. The game is doing stunts along a designated route. The US Steed Tour events are just regular races, but through a series of locations, from one part of the map to the other. The contractor missions is just drive from A to B. No effort all put into these missions. No dialogue, nothing. American Legends contain a series of tasks that you have to complete in order to obtain reskin versions of cars that we already have in the game. The Dominion Forsberg events are just the same boring vanilla events but on new tracks. The Dominion Frozen events are the same thing but with snow. Wow, very creative. Into the Storm and Into the Blizzard is just, again, the same thing but with a little more stuff happening. With wind pushing your car to the side, police cars blocking the road, etc. Motorflix is just the developers tricking you into thinking that there's a lot of content, when in reality, it's just them coming up with many different ways of playing the same f***ing game. Flashback is the same, but are pretty much events that you see. Being made in the Forza Horizon 5 event lab. And Mad is just a bunch of extreme skill challenges where you do regular skill challenges, but you have to avoid obstacles, which I found to be pretty fun. The game and the Mad stuff are the only two Motorflix stuff that I find fun. The rest of them, I just find to be mind-numbingly boring. The Demolition Derby content is, honestly and undeniably, the best thing to have ever come out of The Crew 2, and that's a fact. because that mode seems to be the one where the devs actually put the most effort in. The hobbies are nothing special. It's just doing random tasks in the world to unlock certain vehicles, and it's somehow broken. Sometimes when I click on one, it just shits itself and doesn't load anything. Now, let's talk about Motorfest's main thing, the playlists. The playlists are pretty much just a rebranded version of Horizon Stories, but are done better, which I'll admit. But the problem is, that's the entire game. It's really nothing new. You finish a playlist, and then you never touch it again, unless you want to grind the same races over and over again, because you don't find the other playlists to be particularly interesting. And the worst thing about it is that it suffers the same problem that the Crew 2 has. You just can't earn enough money. It's just a huge grind fest. And as I mentioned before, you can't use your own vehicles in a playlist until you complete it. So you have to buy the right vehicle for it, even though it shares the same discipline as your car that you transferred over from the Crew 2. What is the difference? Why would I do the playlist again in my own car when I have already experienced it and I've moved on to the next one? It's ridiculous. You know why they have done this? It seems to be a way to try to get people to buy the microtransactions. And I'm waiting for someone to convince that it isn't. And people say that this game is better than Forza Horizon 5? Please. Horizon doesn't hinder you for playing however you want to play. I'm tired of people pretending that this game is good when it isn't. Yeah, it has a better festival vibe than Horizon does, but vibes isn't all there is to a game, you know? It's gotta have good gameplay. Yeah, there's a lot of variety of events, but besides the PvP, which I'm going to get into, there's nothing in this game that you can do that you haven't already done in the Crew 2. It's just a slightly different way of play the same game. There isn't a whole bunch new. It just shows that this game was originally planned to be an expansion to the Crew 2.
The PvP in the Crew 1 was, again, pretty awesome. You got regular racing. You got game modes like Blitz Brawl, where you had rush to a circle and stay in it to get the highest number of points without someone pushing you out of the circle. You had Crown, where you had to take the crown and hold it for as long as possible, gaining the most amount of points without someone touching you and taking it for themselves. And you had Elimination, which was pretty much like lap knockout races from the old Need for Speed games, except for the fact that you had 3 lives, so you would have more of a chance to win. The race that you voted for was chosen at random. In a later update, they added a league system, which is very in-depth, more in-depth than the Cop and Racer leagues. You move up the ranks, which are Bronze 4-1, then Silver 4-1, then Gold 4-1, then Platinum 4-1. And you'll get rewards based on your rank, such as paint, rims, and liveries. It even had Crew versus Crew PvP, which was awesome. It's pretty much the same as the solo PvP, but you're in a crew going head-to-head with a rival crew. When your crew wins a race, you go on to level up your crew league. So you had the regular PvP, the Crew versus Crew PvP, and also you had the Summit PvP, which was hard for me to find footage of to show the slight differences. But it involved everyone using the same vehicle at the same level to make things even more balanced for a more competitive experience. And there were crown events for the monster trucks. I do wish that the bike stunt events and drift events were a part of it, but it was still quite fun. The Crew 1 was so competitive, but so cooperative at the same time. The Crew 2 PvP is what you expect. Pretty watered down. No game modes at all. You still have the ranking system, but there's no rewards at all. What I will give them credit for is that your affix bonuses do not work in PvP, so everyone is balanced. So your double nitrous perk won't be working. Vote are now based on how many people voted for it. The Crew Motorfest PvP is even more watered down. There's no standard races. You only got the Grand Race and Demolition Royale. The Grand Race is a player versus player game mode that sets up a race event of up to 32 players. Each racer will have to change through 3 different disciplines to complete the race. The disciplines and event route available rotate every 30 minutes. I don't remember playing the Grand Race, and if I did, I remember quitting immediately because of me getting rammed off the side of the road. Demolition Royale is a battle royale game mode that sets up 32 players into 6 different crews. The objective is to take out the other crews and be the last remaining crew standing. The event arena available rotate every 30 minutes. I never played the Demolition Royale. I'm sure it's pretty fun, even though it's another thing taken from Forza Horizon. By the way, I stole the description of these game modes from the Crew Wiki website, because I barely played them. There's no ranking system either. Players have been asking for more diverse game modes and ranked, but apparently, the devs want to focus on enhancing the core system, which really tells you that they don't really give a fuck about what you want. It's about what they want. By the way, while I was typing the script for this segment, the brand new Lamborghini Temerario was teased, which I'm so mad about. I wish the people over at the Crew Unlimited could add add-on cars ASAP. Please, thank you very much. The skill challenges. The skill challenges are small challenges scattered around the map that require you to do small objectives, like slaloming around gates, driving as fast as you can, escaping a growing circle, jumping as far as possible, and climbing up a hill as fast as possible. You would get a bronze, silver, gold, or platinum medal if you level 50 for completing the challenge. The higher the medal, the higher performance part that you would earn for your car. The Wild Run update added new skill challenges for the drag spec vehicles, like driving fast on the road, or the long jumps, which were amazing. There was one long jump hidden in each region of the map, one jumping over a mountain, one jumping into a racetrack, one jumping over a river, one jump over a canyon, and one jumping over a highway. The Wild Run update also added Smart Loot, which somehow ruined the ability to upgrade your car, at least in my experience. Smart Loot is supposed to give you more things than just car parts, like free customization parts and stuff, but apparently messed up my ability to upgrade my cars, because I remember just constantly getting +0 parts for my car. Calling all units seemed to have fixed it though. In the Crew 2 and Motorfest, it's all pretty much the same. The collectibles. The Crew 1 had plenty of collectibles. You had the satellites, which were a thing that Ubisoft games were doing back in the day, and they probably still do. They really seem to serve no purpose other than to give a cool view of what's around you. Then, you had the landmarks, which would tell you information about the certain areas. My absolute favorite one is this one.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We air.
And finally, you had the hidden wrecks. There were 20 hidden wrecks in each region. There were 5 different hidden wrecks. Each were based on the specs. which was based on the 5 different regions. The Midwest being street spec, the East Coast being dirt spec, the South being perf spec, the Mountain States being raid spec, and the West Coast being circuit spec. If you found all 20 in that region, it would grant you the specific spec for the Hot Rod Hup 1. It was an unlicensed vehicle made by Ivory Tower themselves. The Crew 2 and Motorfest don't have any collectibles to find, just spots to take pictures of to complete certain objectives. The Crew 1 had an award system where you would do certain tasks in the game to unlock certain license plates. There were like hundreds, if not thousands of them to do, like honk your horn 3 times, drive for this distance in a Crew, drive in a white Lamborghini in Miami at night, play on the 4th of July, escape a 5-star police chase, scare this many pedestrians, drive from this city to this one in bumper cam, and so on. The more of these you do, the more award point you have, and the more award point you have, the more it would add up to the money you earned each day, every time you logged in to the game. The amount of award points you had in your league rankings were good indicators of how much you played the game and how much of a top dog you were, because being level 60 wasn't really enough. If you had 13,000 award points or higher, you were pretty much in the elite club, which I was. I don't mean to flex my stats here or anything, but, oh fuck it, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. On the PlayStation 4, I had more than 14,000 award points. I was Platinum 1 and Cop Rank 1. I owned every single vehicle in the game, with every single spec, with most of my cars being max level, which was 1497. Why was this removed in the Crew 2 and Motorfest? I have no idea.
The Crew 1 only had about 40 full-stock vehicles at launch. After all the updates, it went up to around 95 unique full-stock vehicles. If you count all of the specs, it goes up to about 330 total vehicles. The Crew 1 had all different types of vehicles. Modern muscle, classic muscle, JDM cars, supercars, SUVs, pickup trucks, rally cars, Dakar rally cars, Baja trophy trucks, GT2 race cars, GT3 race cars, DTM cars, monster trucks, drag cars. There was something there for everyone. Some of the vehicles in raid and circuit spec were licensed, like the Pagani Zonda R or the Volkswagen Touareg Racing 3. In MMOs, there's usually different classes. In this game, there were 9 different vehicle classes: full stock, street, dirt, perf, raid, circuit, drift, monster, and drag spec. Street spec was meant for cruising or going on long road trips. Dirt spec was meant for rallying on dirt roads. Perf spec, or performance spec, which is everyone's favorite spec, was pretty much the street racing spec. Raid spec was meant for going fully off-road. Circuit was meant for track racing. And drift, monster, and drag are pretty self-explanatory. You bought full stock vehicles from the dealerships to then build into the 8 other specs. There was 1 dealership in each region of the map. You were able to test drive the vehicles, which is still a thing, but it's no longer a race course. There would be sales for vehicles that would take place as well. One of the cars, the 2010 Dodge Viper, was only available as a Ubisoft Club reward, but was replaced by the Alfa Romeo 8C after calling all units. I remember with calling all units, if you owned the Wild Run expansion, you would get the Nissan GTR for free. And if you played the game between December 2014 and January 2015, you get the Lamborghini Huracan for free, with a sticker commemorating the 2-year anniversary of the game. This game, of course, had DLC cars, which included the McLaren F1, the Cadillac Eldorado, the McLaren 12C, the Ferrari 458, the Cadillac Escalade, the Maserati NC12, etc. It was worth it because you didn't just get one car. The vehicles would come in multiple specs, like the amazing Cadillac Escalade, for example, which came in every single spec, besides the extreme specs. The last and final vehicle that they added in the game was the Mazda MX-5 Miata in circuit spec in December 2017, to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the game. This game also got me into off-roading, by the way. Later down the line, they added bikes, which were a part of the Wild Run expansion. There were about 15 of them. It had super bikes, dirt bikes, Dakar bikes, and chopper bikes. And with Wild Run, they even as far as to redo some of the mission cutscenes for the bikes, which I really appreciate them for doing.
Be careful with her. You put a dent in the car, I'll put a dent in you.
It also, of course, had police vehicles. It wasn't like NFS Rivals at all. There were a wide range of different vehicles. Police supercars, police race cars, police buggies, SUVs, and trucks. It had an old-fashioned Blues Brothers-style cop car with a cherry top light, which is a detail that I absolutely love. It even had a police bike, which I wish was an actual police bike, but it's still pretty cool. Nonetheless, one of the police vehicles, the Mercedes-Benz GLC 450 Coupe, is the newest total vehicle in the entire game, with a 2017 model year. The vast majority of these vehicles were custom-made by Ivory Tower themselves, like this thing. Like, how in the world did they get away with this? It still looks insane to this day. And some were licensed, like the Pagani Zonda R or the BMW M4 DTM car. The fact that I can be chased by the police in a full-on race car is absurd, and I love it. You're doing a legal track race, then all of a sudden, you leave the racetrack into the open world. Getting pursued by the police, the Crew 1's car list is pretty much a combination of Midnight Club 3, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, Need for Speed Rivals, and Drive Club. It had the SLR McLaren. It had the regular Murcielago, not the SV version. There were cars that were originally planned for the game, but were unfortunately cut. Vehicles such as the old generation Audi R8, the Lexus LFA, the Range Rover Sport, and apparently, according to Whammy over on the Crew Unlimited Discord, the 2017 Audi R8 V10 Plus was also going to be a thing? In the Crew 2, there were no longer dealerships. Instead, you had family HQs. The HQs were based on the 4 families in the game. The street racing family, the off-road family, the pro racing family, and the freestyle family. The street racing family had Street Race, which was a combination of street and perf spec, drift, drag, and hypercar, which they took some cars from perf spec and gave them their own class. The off-road family had Rallycross, which is dirt spec, Rally Raid, which was raid spec, Motocross, which they took the dirt spec bikes and made them their own class, and Hovercraft. The pro racing family had Touring Car, which is circuit spec, Alpha GP, Powerboat, and Air Race. And finally, the freestyle family had Jet Sprint, Monster Truck, Aerobatics, and Demolition Derby. The Crew 2 expands on the list, of course, but with a few drawbacks. The Subaru BRZ was gone, still hasn't returned since then, even though Need for Speed and Forza have them. as well as the 2004 Dodge Ram SRT-10. They have barely added any new extreme vehicles since the Crew 1, and the ones they did add, they are licensed and not custom-made by Ivory Tower themselves. They did make the Hup 1 a monster truck, but that car isn't licensed. The same thing applies with Motorfest. By the way, please add the Hennessy Venom F5. That car is absolutely insane.
The Crew 1's customization was amazing. The vehicle list and the vehicle customization go hand in hand because of how the game was designed. But you can take a Nissan Skyline R34 and turn it into any spec you wanted to, because it is the only vehicle in the game that had every single spec and variant. The specs in the game are Street Dirt, Perf, Raid, Circuit, Drift, Monster, and Drag. You can make it a rally build, a street build, a perf build, an off-road build, which looks insane, by the way, or a circuit build. The circuit build is actually a real-life car, which is the Zanavi Nissan Skyline GTR Super GT Racing, which looks super sick. You build these cars with one of the coolest animations I have ever seen in a game. The bikes don't have one though. Each spec even has its own customization parts, except for Raid and Circuit spec. People complained that you couldn't customize the Raid and Circuit spec vehicles. Bro, they already look insane enough. Why would you even... whatever. Anyways, the customization parts ranged from front bumpers, rear bumpers, side skirts, spoilers, mirrors, hoods, front and rear fenders on the Hummer H1 Alpha and the Cadillac Eldorado, and rims. The rims were not licensed, unfortunately, and you couldn't paint them, which was a shame. And no livery editor either. I heard that it was planned for game, but didn't make it in, which sucks. But there was interior customization. It wasn't up to the level of Midnight Club LA, where you can change steering wheels and stuff. But I don't think you were able to change the material of the interior, and change the color in different areas of your car though. You could have a wooden dash, a lacquered dash, aluminum dash, carbon, etc. It also had Ubisoft stickers, which were expensive as hell. They would include games such as Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Rayman, Just Dance, and even Driver San Francisco. Pretty neat. You can also make the Skyline into a drift build, a drag build, or even a monster truck, which will make the JDM fanboys angry. The drift spec, the drag spec, and the monster truck specs were all specs that the Wild Run expansion added. They were very expensive. A drift spec car would cost you $400,000. A monster truck would cost you $450,000. And a drag car would cost you a whopping $500,000. To be honest, I don't really mind the prices, because after all, they are extreme specs. However, there was a way to get them for free. You could participate in the Summit events, the free drive stunts, or the free drive challenges to get one. After you completed one of these events, there would be a bar that would fill up. And when it fills up, you get what's called an Extreme Starter Kit. These allow you to get one of Extreme specs for free. Now, you couldn't choose which Extreme specs you wanted. It was in order. So after that bar filled up, it reset for you to unlock another one of the Extreme specs. You got one to choose for free if you completed the tutorial. That's all the specs for the Skyline. It did also come as a police car, which BlackPanthaa was asking for, by the way.
Rolling in with the Skyline. Why is there no Skyline cop car, Ivory Tower? That should be a cop car. I need that.
The police cars were not a spec, but rather a variation of the existing specs in the game. So you got your street, dirt, perf, raid, and circuit police cars. There were no extreme spec police vehicles except for one, which was none other than the Fiat 500 monster truck police car. I think this was too silly for the game, and it's practically useless. You unlock police vehicles by doing the crate missions, which is randomly selected, by the way. You can't choose which police car you want to unlock, which is fine. Or you can go to the police shop, lol, and buy one. The bikes also had customization. They all were able to be built into the standard specs, no extreme specs. There was no building animation though, which is a little bit of a bummer, but when you built one, the customization was awesome. Other than the fact that you can't make custom liveries or even put stickers on it, the bike customization is leaps and bounds better than Midnight Club. In Midnight Club, you could only put preset wraps on your bike, but in the Crew, you can actually customize it. You can change the mirrors, the front and rear fenders, the seats, the fairing, the front light part, the rims, and even the exhaust. The Indian Chief Dark Horse has the most extensive customization out of all the bikes, and it's not even close. I love this game, by the way, if you didn't know. That's not all. You could also customize your own character, and by that I mean change the color of your outfit. Yeah. And the options were expensive as hell. IDK. What is cool though, is that your outfit would change, depending on the spec bike you were using. The street spec outfits look more casual. The dirt and raid spec outfits obviously go for a more off-road approach. The perf spec goes for a more, I don't even what type of outfit this is. And circuit specs puts you in a full-on race suit. Pretty cool. Now, onto the performance customization. It was also great. The Crew's upgrade system was loot-based, which makes total sense, because it's an RPG. It was the perfect length, the time it took for you to fully upgrade a car. And when you did, get this, you can actually buy the performance parts that you won through events with other cars in the game.
Wait, you're telling me that I don't have to grind over and over and over again to upgrade each car?
Yes, I am. And it's fantastic. And you know what else is really cool? I can't end this video without mentioning this, and it's of the coolest things I have ever seen in a video game, to be honest with you. When you go into one of the tuner shops and click on the performance, the whole car breaks apart, lifts up, and you can see the chassis of your car. It is absolutely insane, the amount of effort and detail that they have put into a lot of these engines. You can literally spend hours just looking and observing them. And it doesn't stop there. If you click on gearbox or motor core, parts of the chassis come off, and you can actually see the gearbox. Same with the motor core. And when you accelerated, they would start moving faster and faster. This wasn't needed at all, and serves no purpose. It just shows how much passion that they have put into this. And it's not like they stopped doing this with the Wild Run expansion. They still did it. I'm barely even a car guy, just a casual. However, this was only the case with pretty much all the supercars in the game. Cars like the Mazda RX-7 do not have a dedicated engine. The Crew 2 and Motorfest completely removed these beautiful features. Instead, you have this stupid mailbox system that will collect performance parts that you didn't pick up. But then, the mailbox gets full, so the parts that you didn't pick up will be gone forever. Why does it have to be like this? Why can't it just be like the Crew 1? And now, talking about the Crew 2 and Motorfest customization, because they're still pretty much the same, other than the fact that the Street and Perf spec are combined into one class, which was Street Race, which was fine. But they, for some reason, removed the ability to customize the dirt spec vehicles. You didn't build a car into the specs. They were now their own standalone vehicle, which I really didn't like. People would tell you that the Crew 2 and Motorfest's customization is better. Or is it?
I don't know about some of these customization options either. Am I too old? think I'm too old.
It has even affected Need for Speed as well.
Every video game that you've ever played has a menu. The game would pause and show a menu screen. That's not the case for the Crew. With the Crew 1, you had a mobile phone that you would use to navigate, whether that was to switch vehicles, repair your vehicle, etc. It was so convenient because you can still drive around while navigating through your phone. But what if you wanted to pause the game? You pause the game by entering photo mode or by going on the map. And when you were about to hit a traffic car, you can just enter photo mode and it just instantly pops you into photo mode and you can instantly leave it to phase through traffic. It was brilliant. With the Crew 2, I just don't get why they removed the mobile phone. It was a feature that many people were requesting, and getting in and out of menus was so long. Whereas in the Crew 1, it was instant. It gets even worse with Motorfest, and oh boy, am I about to go on a rant? Not only is there no mobile phone and that there's longer loading times, but everything is in a menu screen now. There are no dealerships that you would drive to buy vehicles. No tuner shops that you would drive to build and customize your vehicle. Nothing. All of that's gone. That was one of the most important aspects of the Crew, and now it's just gone. For a useless, empty, dead world with no pedestrians and a menu system that is so confusing to use and navigate through, it's a joke. It took me minutes to figure out where you go to do the summit events. At least in the Crew 2, the menus were easy to navigate through, and everything that you could access would be right there on the main page. It's a joke, man!
They're like, just click it, and I clicked it, and I was like, oh my god, it's shop as an in-game shop, so it's literally just an in-game car dealer. And this is a huge advantage from the previous Crew, where you had to physically visit different locations for different classes for different vehicle types. So like I said, Crew 2 was a great game, but definitely one of the bigger weak points was the bad menuing and the really weird system of how you bought each vehicle.
Sir, what are you smoking? I could go on to talk about other things like the crash cameras, or the cool cutscenes that you would watch when you enter or exited places. Some people would be annoyed by this stuff, especially the crash cameras. But stuff like this just add more artistic flair and personality to the experience. The game does call itself a revolutionary action driving game, so it makes total sense. I just loved this in Need for Speed Most Wanted. 2012, watching each cutscene before each race. Speaking of cutscenes, you actually make your own with this camera editor tool. The camera mode was a feature in the Crew 1 that allowed you to take cinematic videos of your car. It was pretty meh. It wasn't anything like the Rockstar editor from GTA 5, where you recorded gameplay and then went into a menu to edit the video afterwards. Everything you did happened live. But with the Crew 2, however, they completely changed the game with their video editor. Holy crap, was it an improvement? One of only few improvements, unfortunately. And Motorfest, it's pretty much the same. The photo mode. The photo mode in the Crew 1 was amazing and way ahead of its time, better than any competition at the time.
With this photo mode, you got a lot of options. The first tool you have is the zoom feature, so you can zoom in on certain things, as you already saw on the plate. Look at the details, the beautiful detail. And you can zoom all the way out past the normal point, and it kind of gives like this cool stretched effect, which looks pretty cool. Anyway, we've got tilt, as you can imagine. We've got a grid to make it easier to line up properly. We've got vehicle like settings that are crazy. You can turn the vehicle off if you just, there's still the flip. There's still the foot. Alright, but you can turn the vehicle off if you want to just like take a scenic picture and put it back on. You can put dust on your vehicle. You can put mud on your vehicle. You can put damage on your vehicle. It looks pretty cool if you do all this stuff because like it's so awesome it's got all these tools because you can obviously just play around with it and change it. You can turn off the driver as well. Look at it. He's gone! Which is another awesome thing. So, moving on to the next one, time of day. Now, this is really awesome because there's so many times in where I'm like, I could have got a cool thumbnail there, but I can't because it's nighttime and it looks stupid. I mean, on thumbnails, you need daytime, so we can go back and change the time today, and it looks beautiful. Oh, and also the weather, if you like that. We also have exposure and brightness and saturation and motion blur and focus, and there's just everything you could want. Like, I've got to say, well done, Ivory Tower. They've done an amazing job with this. Like, this is my thumbnail maker. Literally, because, number one, like, it has all the things you would want and more, and it's not overcomplicated. It's not, like nerdy terms that I have no idea about. It's just simple. And also, the logo in the corner is optional.
The Crew 2 and Motorfest seem to be largely the same. The Crew 1 had a pretty decent damage model, but the car would slowly repair itself afterwards, which I find to be quite strange. I don't think many people know this, but if you damaged your car enough, it would actually start to backfire. It even had a guidebook, which would tell you everything that you need to know about the game and how to play it, which somewhat reminds me of Midnight Club 3. I don't think that games even do this anymore. It had the mobile mechanic app, which allowed you to repair or upgrade your vehicle on the spot. You had to spend a perk point to get this feature though, not in the current games either. Now the perk system allowed you to have certain advantages while playing, like having a racing line, discounts on vehicles and performance parts, how much nitrous you would have at the start of an event, etc. Some people are not a fan of perk systems in games, but I personally like them. It's pretty much like a skill tree, where you would spend points to buy or upgrade abilities, which is usually a thing in MMOs. In the Crew 2 and Motorfest, it's largely the same. Drive Hub was pretty much Ubisoft's version of Autolog, where you had to beat people's times and skill challenges and stuff, which I don't know if this is still a thing. It also had an in-depth stats system, which would tell you how much time you spent in the game doing certain things, and how much stuff that you unlocked. In the Crew 2, it's more simplified, and in Motorfest, it's not even there at all. With the Crew 1, you were also able to go to train stations and airports to travel across to different cities, if you couldn't fast travel. By the way, the fast traveling is also a downgrade. With the Crew 1, you couldn't fast travel unless you explored that area, which was perfect. In the Crew 2,
you cannot fast travel anywhere you want, and in my opinion, that is taking away our freedom.
Well said, Race Master Dave. With Motorfest, not only could you not fast travel anywhere, but now you can't fast travel unless you completed 10 playlists, which is just artificial game lengthening. And to be honest, I find buying a certain vehicle in order to play the playlists artificial game lengthening as well. And finally, the radio. Unlike other games, you could actually pause and play a song, shuffle the music, and even create your own playlist from the existing songs in the game. Absolutely not possible in the current games at all.
In the Crew 1, you didn't have a house or an apartment, but what you did have were HQs that would have people in them that would increase the further you progressed through the story. Your HQ and the tuner shops that you went to would have like a dyno system, almost. You were able to accelerate, turn left and right, open the doors, and even put the windows down. It was so awesome. You could even do it with the chassis exposed. With the Crew 2, you had an apartment. Well, kinda. It was really an HQ where you can store some of your vehicles in. You could rearrange them too. which was also nice. By the way, being able to walk around in third person now is awesome. Your HQ would upgrade the higher your icon level was. You couldn't really interact with anything inside your HQ though, but you could get in your vehicle and rev the engine. You had your garage, your hangar, and your harbour that you would access through an elevator. In Motorfest, you have whatever the hell this is. Why can't I have a Hawaiian beach house or something, man? I'm beginning to think that Motorfest is just a placeholder game for The Crew 4 or something.
The Crew 1 was also very strange. You could get into a police chase in a monster truck on a racetrack, just driving over and wrecking them. Some of you would be turned off by that, and I don't blame you. But it wasn't trying to be like Need for Speed at all. It was doing its own thing. If there was one thing that I wish that this game had, which would have made it more of an MMO experience and would have been the icing on the cake, was if there was an event going on in the open world that would pop up and disappear after a few minutes. Need for Speed and Forza Horizon have something like this, which was the link-ups from Need for Speed Unbound, or the Horizon Arcade from Forza Horizon 5. The game kinda has this already with the crates, but they don't disappear after a few minutes. Instead, there would be new crates on the map every day. I think that something like $100,000 money trucks driving in the world would have been very cool. Players would try to take it down and get the cash. And if you were a cop, it obviously wouldn't work. In fact, if you were a cop, you could actually stop them from getting the loot. Or a second way of doing it would be to have special crates on the map that would disappear after a few minutes, and it would have bigger rewards, like a new vehicle or $200,000. I do wish for something like that, but I don't think that it's that big of a deal for me to think that the game is boring without it, because the game was far from it. This may sound ridiculous, but The Crew 2 would have been better without an open world. Let's be real here. The game's open world is pretty useless. You know why? Because of how the game is designed. They removed many interesting locations from The Crew 1 to make it more of a racing game map than a driving game map. I mean, look at all the racetracks that they've added over the years. A vast majority of events in this game have to do with racing. You jump from race to race to race, like Need for Speed Undercover. In that game, the map is just empty and useless. Just like The Crew 2. It's not like The Crew 1, where you actually had to drive to events to start them. In The Crew 2, you just select a race and then poof, you're there. The Crew 2 should have taken more of a Need for Speed Pro Street, grid-style approach, and it would have been a lot better. The Crew 2 was wasted potential. The Crew 1 is the original Powerpuff Girls, while The Crew 2 and Motorfest is the Powerpuff Girls 2016 reboot. They go against pretty much everything that the original stood on and what it was actually meant to be. It was meant to be a driving game, not a racing game. Driver San Francisco was a driving game, not a racing game. Test Drive Unlimited 2 was a driving game, not a racing game. The Crew 1 was a driving game, not a racing game. Sure, racing was in those games, but that wasn't the main defining aspect that made those games special. For Driver San Francisco, it was the story and the characters. For Test Drive Unlimited 2, it was the lifestyle elements. And for The Crew 1, it was the MMORPG elements, where you drive in a big open world, collaborate and compete with other players doing a wide variety of different activities. Even with the Wild Run expansion, it wasn't really a racing experience. It was more of a freestyle stunting type of experience. Motorfest's open world is also pointless. even though you do have to drive to events. The playlists honestly would have been better if they took place in many different locations around the world. It would be a better version of that Grand Tour game. I don't think people like SidWaj understand why many people find the first game to be the best one. The Crew used to influence a lot of other games. Now it's being influenced by other games and not doing its own thing.
These new games just feel so corporate-driven now. It's so sad. I have played a lot of driving games growing up, and I loved a lot of them. My favorite was either between Midnight Club 3 or Need for Speed Most Wanted, with Burnout Paradise coming behind them. The vibes and personality in those games were absolutely unreal, and I loved illegal street racing because of those. Other than Paradise, of course. Need for Speed Undercover was the last one I enjoyed. Illegal street racing, cops, customization, the vibes were all gone for years. I missed out on Need for Speed The Run because I forgot about it, and that was the closest we've ever gotten. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012 came out, and I was conflicted, despite me enjoying it, and I've never even heard of Forza Horizon at the time. Rivals came out, and I enjoyed it, but it was not what I wanted. But then The Crew was announced in 2013, and I didn't even know about it until about a year later, because 13-year-old me was occupied watching Regular Show, Adventure Time, and The Amazing World of Gumball to keep up with gaming news, and was playing NFS Most Wanted 2012 at the time. Around August 2014, my brother told me about the game. I watched gameplay of it, was quite off-put by how the graphics looked, and the car sounds sounded unappealing. But I ended up getting it because it had a huge map, and it was the only driving game to come out that year, still not knowing that Forza Horizon existed and not having an Xbox. And when it first came out, I couldn't play it because I didn't have a PS4 at the time, so I forgot about it. My parents got me and my brother a white PlayStation 4 with the Destiny bundle during Christmas break. My brother got a game, and I got a game. He got GTA 5, and I got The Crew. I put the game in, and it wasn't working for whatever reason, so I ended up playing my brother's game first. I absolutely loved it. I managed to get my game working, so I was going into it, not really expecting much from it, but I ended up loving it. It was pretty much everything that I wanted. It reminded me a lot of those games that I loved. How the game zooms in from the map to your car reminded me of Midnight Club LA, and getting phone calls too. The customization was freaking insane. The fact that you could put a blower on a modern muscle car just blew my mind. The off-road conversions of the cars looked wild to me. I don't remember the story that much because it's hard for me to pay attention to stories in games unless something interesting happens. The update, where they added a league system in PvP, made me play the crap out of it until I reached Platinum 1. I had recorded so much footage of the game that my brother deleted all my footage because it was taking up too much space on the PS4, which we were sharing and taking turns playing. And then they announced the Crew Wild Run expansion, and I just couldn't contain myself. It's like I loved the game already, and now you're adding monster trucks, drag cars, drift cars, bikes, and a free graphical overhaul? And I thought that NFS 2015 would destroy the Crew. Boy, was I wrong. A couple months after enjoying the expansion, I started thinking, could this be the best driving game that I've ever played? The game has impressed me so much with how much it has done. And then I thought, Yes, of course it is. It was a combination of many other games, Midnight Club 3 and LA, because of the whole car and bike dynamic, the phone calls, and the way the map zoomed in and out reminded me of LA. The car customization and story reminded me of the OG Need for Speed games, of course, the all elements, and driving from dealerships to buy cars, and finding hidden wrecks from Test Drive Unlimited. The Wild Run was somewhat Hot Wheels. And then the Calling All Units expansion came out, and I also loved it, despite the cop missions being pretty meh. And around that time, I finally got an Xbox One and played Forza Horizon 3 for the first time. I found it to be very boring and soulless compared to The Crew. The campaign was just, hey, monkey, you want to become the ultimate Horizon boss? And I'm like, sure, what do I gotta do? And it was like, well, you gotta earn fans by doing this race, then do that race, then do this race, then do that race. Then you build a festival, then do this race, do that race, do this race, do that race, do this race, do that race. Then you can upgrade your festival. Then do this race, do that race, then do this showcase event where you race boats so you can build a new festival. And the cycle repeats. Very repetitive. No proper story or narrative to hook me in. I didn't even buy the Blizzard Mountain expansion because it was just a map with snow on it. The Hot Wheels expansion, however, somewhat redeemed the game for me and made me think that the expansion was better than the entire game itself. I think Forza Horizon 3 is honestly the most overrated racing game ever made, and people loved the game, saying that it's the best racing game ever made, which I never really understood. I get that it has engine swaps, in-depth tuning, and handling and physics that appeal more to car people, but I'm a gamer and care more about the gameplay more than the cars. Horizon is a better game for people who love cars, for sure, but The Crew is a better game for people who love playing video games. Fortunately, though, the Horizon series has gotten a lot better, in my opinion, because it pretty much gotten rid of that stupid garbage campaign and has more things to do. But now, the Horizon fanboys think that Horizon series has fell off. What? Now the roles have reversed. The Crew got 2.5 years of content updates throughout its lifespan. And when The Crew 2 was announced, I was hoping that it would be another overhaul to the current game rather than a whole new game, because MMOs like The Crew are supposed to get updates for years and years, but sadly, that was not the case. It just feels like The Crew 1 wasn't finished because they never updated the menu screen after they stopped supporting the game. Whereas with The Crew 2, they definitely updated the menu screen to include pretty much everything that The Crew 1 game added over the years. The Crew 2 ended up being something that I never expected. I was hoping that I could still do the stuff that I already loved doing from the first, but even more. But sadly, that wasn't the case either. The experience was reduced from a MMO driving playground to a simplified, single-player, linear racing-focused experience, which honestly still, to this day, feels like an expansion to the first game. It was a mess, and they had the nerve to say,
The Crew 2 had a fantastic first year. No, it didn't. It was fucking terrible. It was broken. You don't need to lie to your audience.
What an absolute joke. There was so much content in The Crew 1 that even the GOAT himself, DashieXP, said so.
Alright, yo, I'm gonna end it right here. I'm sorry that the video was all over the place, but there's just so much you could do in this game.
I felt at home playing this game, and the soundtrack really emphasized that feeling. despite me not liking the soundtrack very much. A YouTuber described the vibe of the soundtrack as chilling at home on a rainy day, drinking a cup of hot chocolate. It wasn't anything crazy, like Need for Speed or Midnight Club, to get you pumped up and excited. The Crew 1 would go on to live for another 5 years with no more content updates, with The Crew 2 and Motorfest getting all of the glory. Then, on December 14th, 2023, Ubisoft would announce that they have delisted the game from stores with no warning, and that the game would shut down permanently in March of 2024. To be honest, I wasn't as sad as I would have hoped, because I saw this coming eventually, and was having too much fun playing Forza Horizon 5. In March, I was able to hop on and play. I took pictures of my stats and all the vehicles that I had, so I would always remember them. Then on that faithful day, on March 31st, 2024, I stayed up all morning as the game was on its deathbed. I was watching SidWaj's live stream as it was about to happen. During the live stream, as the game was dying, it wasn't functioning properly. Weird stuff would happen, like the AI police no longer spawning on the map, and the all interface disappearing completely. I got in my most driven vehicle in the game and drove to what was pretty much my favorite location. I sat there, playing ambient music, staring off into the sunset as the game was dying. Then, minutes later, at 8:05 a.m., the game would permanently shut down. Being 23 years old wasn't the best experience for me. My mother passes away. Then, months later, my favorite game going away permanently. The Crew was, honestly, the best driving game that I've ever played. It had so much creativity and passion behind it, and there will be nothing like it ever again. All of the 4,000 plus hours I spent played, and the $100 worth of DLC content, all gone. It was the No Man's Sky of the driving genre. The game got better and better since it first came out. The Crew wasn't the best game ever made. It did have issues, but it was someone's favorite game out there, and it was mine. The Crew 1 is like the biggest mixed bag of a game I have ever seen. There are people who absolutely loved the game, and people who absolutely hated it. You either love it because it had a proper story, progression, huge map, and exploration, and delivered what the Need for Speed series was missing for a long time. Or you hate it because it's an atypical Ubisoft game with microtransactions, an always online game, a garbage cliché story, garbage handling and physics, and a loot-based upgrading system. You may even go as far as to say that it's the embodiment of everything bad about modern racing games. I would make that argument about the Crew Motorfest, but whatever. If you look up reviews for this game, you'll find lots of different criticisms.
The crew, the squad, the glitches, the bugs, the mess, the physics, the handling, whatever you want to call it, you know what it is. A fun aspect to play with your friends and even strangers and be in a crew together, but come on. Are people really going to play with you the whole time? Of course not. So that sort of defeats the purpose.
Dude, what a stupid argument. What did you want them to do? Have them force you to join a crew in order to play? It's not the best game ever made, but I would argue that it's one of the best driving games ever made. If you think I'm wrong, then come and fight me down in the comments section. It's not as polished as Forza Horizon, but it's certainly not as broken as Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. And with the amount of content that this game has, I'm surprised that it's not as broken. Yes, it does have bugs, like the world would suddenly turn nighttime. Everyone in your session would disappear if you reject a police invitation. Your car flying in the air when you hit a traffic car. Your friends or crew members being below the ground, or the game world disappearing when a police chase triggers. But the thing is, those things didn't really affect your gameplay experience. The game would function normally afterwards. It would be an annoyance that would last a couple seconds, which would be like, what in the world just happened? And it would go away. Other than it suddenly turning nighttime, obviously. And they wouldn't happen frequently either. Because of the car air physics, the bike handling, the car sounds, and the bugs I just mentioned, I would have to knock it down a couple points. But the amazing gameplay variety, amazing world, amazing vehicle customization, amazing progression system, amazing replay value, and the amazing amount of love and passion that they have put into this game makes me give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's not as well made and polished as the other games in the genre that we all know and love, like Burnout Paradise, Midnight Club 3, or Need for Speed Most Wanted. But my God, in terms of gameplay and the amount of love, passion, and personality, it is definitely up there. Come and fight me. If this was The Crew Unlimited, my score would go up to a 9. I unfortunately cannot say the same for the other two games. They are mediocre experiences at best, with Motorfest being slightly worse. Without the Crew in their names, they are okay games at best, maybe even decent. But because the identity is lost, I'm gonna have to knock them down. With The Crew 2, it's pretty much a downgrade in every single way, besides the car sounds and the bike handling. The events are repetitive and basic, with annoying and cringe characters constantly berating you to check out the HQs or your mailbox. Permanent FOMO content, subpar graphics, and one huge fucking grind. A 5.9 out of 10 from me. Motorfest. It has a great atmosphere and vibe, but it's let down with its questionable game design choices. USA map ditched, making it lose a part of its identity. The boats and planes have been pushed to the side and combined together, even though the game is called Motorfest. A dead world, annoying and cringe characters, confusing menus, no engine swaps or a proper upgrading system in a game called Motorfest, and once again, a huge fucking grind. A 5.7 out of 10 from me. By the way, there's no reason for The Crew 2 and Motorfest to be always online anymore, because the vast majority of the content involves you racing against AI, not other players. The MMORPG aspect is totally gone. No collaborating and competing with other players outside the PvP, and no role-playing as a cop and patrolling, looking for police chases anymore. What a joke.
I think I'm done now. And as for the future of this franchise, considering the fact that they doubled down on the Forza Horizon approach, I don't think that it's ever going to go back to how it was anytime soon. The Crew 1's creative director was Julian Garrity, who went on to become the creative director for 2019's The Division 2 and the 2024's Star Wars Outlaws. With the Wild Run expansion in 2015, Stefan Belli took the helm and was in charge of the series going forward. People over on the Crew Unlimited Discord will tell you that the Wild Run was the beginning of the downfall of the Crew franchise, which I disagree with entirely. I think that the downfall began when The Crew 2 was revealed to be a completely different game, rather than a remake, and overhaul to the current one with a new, updated engine with the exact same content, but continued with new updates, expansions, and new vehicles, which I was expecting because it was an MMO, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case at all. The exact answer as to why we got the current games that we got remains a mystery. If you made it to the very end, thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video. If you think I was based, then consider subscribing. If you still think that the Crew 1 was Yugoslav garbage, or even average at best, leave a comment down below so I can argue with you about it. Otherwise, peace out.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. My boy just called me up talking about, yo, let's hit up Taco Bell. Hold up. Who my boy just robbed? Go. Talking about some go. No, bitch.